trying to do.
Hey, Mitchell. Welcome in.
Hey, how's it going? Tori, are you keeping track of quorum here?
Yeah, I am going to be keeping track of quorum.
All right, thanks.
Yep. So as soon as we get started and we give people a couple more minutes to come on in, then I'll do quorum. And if we don't have quorum at the beginning, if we establish it, I'll let you know when. Hey, Samira.
I'm gonna need to leave in about a half hour here, but it looks like we have a light agenda, but Carmian may need to take over, or I'm gonna do the front part anyway, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, you'll be leading it, and then Carmiana come in on her part.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
Do you have the script in front of you, or should I send it to you?
Yes, no, I got it. I had a little trouble as usual with my printer, but it happened to work.
Great.
Well, Tyrone, did you catch any fish?
Yeah, I wound up with like 22 fish, and I had to quick cook up some fish. You're not supposed to have more than 20 fish, from what I understand.
Even if you cook them, though, they'll know you have 21.
But that's, having too many fish is a good problem to have, but it's a problem that I don't want to encounter again. I want to make sure I monitor it.
Well, then you have just don't keep those little ones so long.
Well, I caught a giant catfish and I caught a nice smallmouth bass, and man, the catfish was supermarket ready.
It's amazing though how, the bass, they look so good and everything, but you can't eat them. They just taste terrible. So no one eats them, but they always go bass fishing. They have them in the tournaments and all of that, but.
Yeah, I think a lot of those fish like that, if you soak them in buttermilk, you can eliminate a lot of that. Because some people say that about catfish, that they have like a swampy taste, and make sure you cut the bloodlines out, things like that. So you can make them better, but.
All right. So I just want to say that Carmian has joined. So we have both co-chairs here with us, and we can go ahead and get the meeting started.
Great, thank you. And thanks for the folks here. This is now, September 16th? This is the meeting for the Equity Advisory Committee, and we do now have quorum, and so we move ahead. My name is John Pacheco. I'm co-chair of the committee. I'm also a council member for District 5. And so good evening to all of you. I'm pleased to serve as your co-chair for this evening's meeting. It is September 16, 2025, and I now call to order the June meeting of the Equity Advisory Committee.
It meant to be the September meeting instead of June. I apologize about that.
Yeah. Excuse me, I got my voice too. I've been on phone all day today. Equity Advisory Committee in accordance with Robert's Rules of Order, and that's what we govern our meetings for those who know. And at this point, I will read the land, water, and people acknowledgement. And that's something we've been doing now for, I don't know, maybe 6-8 months. And the full council, we read it, we rotate it. But at this body, we've been reading it each time. And so I'll go ahead and read it, but sometime we may call on one of you to read it for us. And so with that, the Metropolitan Council acknowledges that the land we currently call Minnesota and specifically the 7-county region in the ancestral homeland of the Dakota Oyote. We are present and active contributors to our thriving region as part of the Metropolitan Council's commitment to address the unresolved legacy of genocide, disposition, and settler colonialism, and the fact that government institutions, including the Metropolitan Council, benefited economically, politically, and institutionally after the forcible removal of the Dakota Oyote. The commitments in the Metropolitan is dedicated to instilling land, water, and people commitments in the regional policy. These commitments support the Dakota Oyote, the 11 federally recognized tribes in Minnesota, Ho-Chunk Nation, and the American Indian communities representing over 150 diverse tribal nations that call the 7-county regional home. And at that, so again, I'd like to welcome all of you here, all members of the committee, as well as members of the public joining us online. The meeting will proceed until 8 o'clock, and we appreciate your participation. For those watching remotely, we are streaming live on YouTube, and our meetings take place every third Tuesday of the month from 6 to 8 p.m. I believe we have roll call. Are we having a roll call here? Do we have quorum?
We do have quorum, but I can just call roll call really fast. Zachariah Abdullahi's here. I see council members Tony Carter, council member Dr. Tyrone Carter, Carmian Foster, Mitchell Hansen, Samira Issa, Michael Lucini, council member Yassine Osman, council member John Pacheco, Anita Ravina Davis, Markia Knight, and Astrid Benedetto.
So
And
we
it's
have
Samira Issa. I meant to say.
So we have established quorum?
Yeah, we have established quorum, and welcome, Anita. I see Anita has joined. You can go ahead.
Okay, I couldn't tell. All right, with quorum established, we will now move into the approval of the previous meeting's minutes. But before that, does anyone have any corrections or additions to the attendance record? Seeing none, we will, if quorum's not established, okay, we have that. Now when we move, we don't really need to approve the agenda itself. We need to approve the minutes. So at this point, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Meeting has been made and motions are made and seconded. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Seeing none, we have the agenda approved as presented. At this point, then we will move on to approve the approval of minutes of the last meeting of August 19th, 2025. Any corrections or additions to the minutes? They've been sent out and for your approval. Again, though, is there any questions or corrections? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to move the minutes as presented. Hello?
So
Second.
moved.
So
Second.
they have been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. I'm just looking here to. All right, at this point, we are initiating a public invitation. Now, we allow people to speak before us. They need to register or call it in first. We do give 3 minutes for public input. And so at this point, if there's anybody who's been either registered online to speak during this or here or coming on our site here. Seeing none. All right. Here we now have the speaker today. I just want to make sure here we got here. We have our good friend and often presenter, Shante Payne, and he'll be leading the first presentation this night before we move on. And so with that, I just recognize Ashante. He's the Assistant Director of Office Equity and Equal Opportunity, who will present this topic this evening. The presenter has about 20 minutes, and there will be time for questions and answers, but you can also raise your hand during the meeting here and have some input as well. So with that, Mr. Ashante Payne.
Good evening, co-chairs, committee members, Ashanti Payne. I'm here this evening to present the results of the Minnesota Disparity Study, and specifically how those results relate to the Metropolitan Council. During the presentation, as I'll be presenting, I won't be able to see hands, so if someone could help identify when there is questions, it would be much appreciated. Also, I will be referring, hopefully you all received the summary report as well, because I will be referring to pages on that report in case you want to dive a little bit deeper into the data or get some more general context around it. And then also, I will be talking about the council's plan in terms of how strategically how we plan to move forward relative to small business incorporation and participation based on the results of the disparity study. Am I sharing? I can definitely share my screen for the presentation.
Yeah, it depends if you want me to share or you.
I can do it. No
Okay.
problem. Yeah. All right. So the disparity study in 2025 was conducted by Keen Independent Research. This is the same firm that conducted the study back in 2017. And the Metropolitan Council participated both back in 2017 and this year in 2025, along with 15 other agencies. The study was started beginning of 2024 and ended mid 2025. This year or this round, the study also included a few new groups. And again, if you want to look at all of the groups that were included in this study, you can find that information on summary report page 4. Here's a list of the participating entities. So most of them are located in the Twin Cities metropolitan area, but also we had the city of Rochester participate in this round of studies as well. One of the first things that we did is define for the council our geographic market area, as you can see outlined on this map. And then a breakdown of how and where the council spends its dollars in general categories: construction, professional services, goods, and other services. So again, this is kind of a snapshot of who is continued inclusion for support in our small business programs based on disparities that were found for these groups. And then you could see which groups this year were included in terms of new as part of the study as well. And again, this information, more detailed list of information can be found on summary page 4 of the report. So some of the general findings: Met Council's utilization of minority-owned firms doubled from what was found in the previous study that was completed in 2017, up to 5.2%. And we also had an increase in utilization of women owned firms to 3.8%, but that was substantially below the 8.2% availability. Met Council's underutilized business program brought overall MBE utilization to 5.2%. That might be to a level that might be expected from the availability analysis. However, there were still substantial disparities found both in this 2017 study and in this study for Black American-owned firms, Hispanic American-owned firms, and firms owned by Indigenous individuals. The study also found a disparity for South Asian American-owned firms. But combined, when you look at it for MBEs and WBEs, participation was 9% for this study, which is substantially below what we would expect. 13 point. Just a breakdown of the share of dollars that are going to WBEs and other firms and MBEs and majority-owned firms. And as you can see, this does show a significant disparity in some areas. This is represented in comparing. You can see where we made progress in terms of our spend with minority business owners as well as women business owners from the previous disparity study. As I mentioned, we did make progress, we did improve, but there's still some substantial disparities. The other thing I'll point out in what will become apparent as I go through this presentation is that increase. We have data and evidence that increase is really due to the operation and administration of our small business program, our Metropolitan Council under the Utilized Business Program. And as some of you might know, regulation and compliance can only get us so far. So we have to have plans and strategies in place that get us to parity, because we are definitely not at parity today. This is a breakdown of percentage of dollars, contracting dollars that went to minority business and women-owned businesses through the study period, which studied contracts starting in July 2016 to June of 2023. And if you look, the highest years were in 2020 and 2023. This is a disparity analysis based on demographic group. Again, anything that is below 80 in the disparity index, which is that far right column, represents significant disparities. So again, anything that's under 80 is significant disparities. 100 is parity, which means that you're at the level that you would expect. Anything over 100 is over parity. So again, Black American owned, Hispanic American owned, Indigenous owned firms all had significant disparities, and then also white women owned firms. Total MBE and WBE 68. But total MBE, if you take it into account just minority business owners, we're about at parity or what you would we're at parity or what you would expect in the marketplace. However, I would put that into context. If you look at Asian Pacific owned firms, they're at 200. That is what's driving that number overall and pushing that overall number to parity. And as we get into it a little bit more, it's not a representation of very many firms that are Asian Pacific owned, but a few firms that got some high dollar amounts in terms of our contracting. And then if you break it down by industry, in terms of construction, you can see that construction, we have a high, very high, significant disparity for Hispanic-owned firms in the construction space. Black American-owned firms are almost at parity at 98, and then you get Asian Pacific and South Asian American firms at that 200 level. And again, that is representing a few firms that got a lot of contracts, some high dollar value contracts. I think also it shows and is again demonstrative of what I mentioned before relative to our administration of our small business program. What this chart is showing us is a disparity analysis and index based on prime contracts. So again, Black American firms, Hispanic owned American firms, and Indigenous owned firms all had very high disparity indexes, as well as white women owned firms. And again, that number in terms of total MBE is being pushed up, and total MBE and WE by those two categories, Asian Pacific and South Asian firms, and those handful of firms. And again, this is a more kind of concrete representation of what I mentioned before about the strength of our small business programs that we administer and how we administer those programs. Not to brag, but the Office of Equity and Equal Opportunity Small Business Contracting Unit does an excellent job. And we have known from other studies and other, both when we did our DBE goal and other studies that we've done, that we administer an excellent program. As you see, we're at parity in our subcontracting efforts, or over parity. We do very well relative to subcontracts versus when we are directly contracting with minority and women-owned firms. Again, professional services, we are doing a good job in this area as well, with the exception of Indigenous-owned firms and white women-owned firms. And then total MBE and WBE, when you put it all together, we still have significant disparities, but there are specific groups relative to professional services that are doing well relative to that disparity index number. This is probably where we need the most focus and most effort in the concentrated strategic approach. I can't say enough about goods. If you look at these, like I said, anything below 80 is significant disparities. and we only have one group that's in double digits, and that's 11. So this is an opportunity area for us, and where we need to focus a lot of our attention in our purchasing of goods. Other services, again, and just for context, and you can, in the report, it breaks down what is included in other services. But some examples might be transportation services, janitorial services, things like that. Black American-owned firms and Asian Pacific-owned firms are doing well in this area. All others are showing significant disparities. This is the chart that I call apples to apples, because this is comparing us with all of the other agencies that participated in the study, and it shows where we were the previous study in those indices, and then also in the current study. So as you see, previously we were probably towards the bottom of that upper tier in the previous study, and now we've moved to about the middle of the pack. Overall disparity index of 68. Again, hopefully you guys won't get tired of me saying this, but anything below 80 is significant disparities. But we've made progress. We were in the 40s at 44 previously, and now we are at 68. So if you look at Hennepin County, they are doing the best in terms of the entities that participated. And the good thing about it, and one thing that we can mention, Hennepin County was similar to us the last time we did this disparity study, and they've made significant progress. The positive thing about that is we know exactly what some of the things and strategies that Hennepin County incorporated to make that progress. So we are determined that the next time we do this study, that we will be at that level or beyond it when we do the study again. Also, a thing to note, without the administration of our small business program and our MCUP program, we would be down here with these folks below this first tier line. We'd be somewhere around here. So, based on what we know, what are the things that we can do and we can incorporate to move the needle? We have 5 strategies that we are focusing on moving forward. The first is, approval and implementation of the small business spend plan policy, which has evolved into the small business opportunities spend plan policy. And it's really a focus on utilization of the tools, both statutorily and policy-wise, that we have, having a plan and strategy on how to incorporate those tools, where we have those gaps, training for division, business unit staff. And then we've developed a dashboard, an interactive Power BI dashboard to allow folks to, as a resource, to get information, determine where they have opportunities, gaps, to plan and incorporate strategies that will move the needle. I am presenting on our small business opportunity spend plan tomorrow with our executive leadership, and we'll be implementing this and getting those in place this year by Q4 of 2025. Two is developing a more comprehensive small business program that is based on factors like size, gross receipts, number of years in business, and things other than just race and gender. This is definitely something that we are focused on and getting implemented in 2025 as well, and being prepared in the event that we will have to pivot. We want to have a well-defined small business program, and that doesn't lend itself to abuse in terms of benefiting, very wealthy or well-off white male firms who might operate small businesses. So we want to make sure that our program is well-defined and able to meet the objectives in terms of those firms that really need to be engaged and incorporated into our programs, activities, and services. I skipped 3. Continued and dedicated funding for our small business supportive services program. We have a small business supportive services program that we got funds from the council as one-time funds, but we need to find a dedicated source to continue this, and I'm working on that with our finance deputy regional administrator to make sure we can continue this valuable service. It has shown to be of great benefit to small businesses, building capacity, learning how to bid and estimate, how to respond to RFPs, and we'll be offering some new courses based on feedback in our quality control process for 2026. And then as one of the folks that I rely on and is very well versed in small business program administration, always says to me, you got to make sure you're paying small business on time, because if you're not paying on time, nothing else that you do will matter. This is the number one barrier, pain point that is expressed to us by small businesses, especially participating on large government projects, being able to get paid in a timely fashion. And ultimately, we pay those higher costs because they incorporate, if they know that they're not going to get paid on time, they incorporate that risk into their bids, and that's passed on to us. So our ability to be able to address pay cycle and prompt payment is key, not only to the small businesses and their survival, but also our bottom line. So some of this is contract related, but also I think one of the ones that we'll have some focus on is project bank accounts. It's a concept that is new. It is not used a lot in the United States. It's used quite frequently, and actually part of they put it into law in the UK. But everybody gets paid at the same time. There's transparency and cost savings, as I mentioned before, by using this process, and it's something that we want to pursue. And we are looking for a pilot project to propose this on for the council with help from Hennepin County. So hopefully either Hennepin County or the council will find a pilot project to incorporate this process. It is just a payment vehicle. Nothing else would be changed by this, with the exception of how contractors get paid. With that, I will stop and for any questions.
Thank you for that presentation. So now we will open up to questions. I would remind folks to make sure that you're using your hand raise icon so that we can keep things orderly. Council Member Tyrone Carter.
I'd just like to say, kudos for the job that you guys have done, especially for the idea of project bank accounts. You know, as you know, that's been a bone of contention in terms of the slow pay. And as a small business owner myself, I can see the reluctance that a lot of small businesses would have to put themselves out there and really get in partnership financially with a project, only to receive slow pay and have that negative impact as a result of it. So I just want to say thanks for that, and I hope it goes forward. And I'm hoping, crossing my fingers, that it's going to be successful.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Anita, did you have a comment? Otherwise, Mitchell has the floor.
It just came to mind. I'm sorry I didn't raise my hand, but I was looking at the materials. What is Hennepin's Elevate, or the difference, the program that they're doing that Met Council isn't doing, and that Met Council would like to copy, so to speak?
Yes, Hennepin County's Elevate program is a small business supportive services program. So I've had some extensive conversations with the folks that run the Elevate Hennepin program. It is similar. We have copied already some of those things and incorporated it into, but really we don't want to duplicate services, and we want to leverage resources the best we can, both with folks like Hennepin County's Elevate. MnDOT does some small business training and resources. Department of Administration does some as well. So that's what Hennepin County's Elevate program is. And and one of the strategies was continued funding for our supportive services program to provide some of those similar services to small businesses that are interested in doing business with the council.
Well, one other thing, Hennepin County, I know, does have a lot of community engagement and outreach with their programs. And that may make a difference. If people have somebody who's connected with Hennepin County, constantly reaching out, giving them information, providing them resources, offering assistance, I think that helps with the small businesses too, and the contracts that Hennepin has. And that might be something that the Met Council might want to consider, is providing that in community engagement.
Thank you for that that recommendation and that information. The good thing is that our engagement and development unit manager is also on this meeting, Tomas Mabratu. So he heard you as well.
Mhm.
So thank you for that. Thank you for that recommendation.
All right, you're welcome.
Wonderful. Mitchell, you had your hand raised.
Yeah, I appreciate the depth of the executive summary, and like the comprehensiveness of that. It's a very complicated topic, with a lot of data, and I think seeing real feedback and comments was really nice. In that executive summary, you don't see that often, and it's I think some of them really stuck out to me a lot, just across all topics. And I think one of the main ones was I still feel like it's an old boys club out here, and if that echoes the men where people are at, and really helps guide our work. I think that this information is really telling. And I think the one that actually stuck out to me the most is one of the comments was, if it's a women-owned business, it's a passion project. That's a stereotype. They don't think I can run it like a business. It's just me having fun. And that was a South American female owner of goods. So I think I just wanted to say I really appreciate the depth that this goes into and the themes that emerge, which seem to be access to capital, bonding issues, insurance, like you said, prompt payment, just information in general, and then some bid shopping, it looks like, in subcontracting opportunities. And just some of the same themes that we see across all access. But I just wanted to say I appreciate the depth that the executive summary went into, because it really allowed me to really see the themes that we see at the local level. And I look forward to continue to talk about this as a major issue, and I appreciate the work that you do. Yeah, and especially just the how these comments were included, because often we see them kind of picked and choose, but they seem very honest, and I appreciate that.
Thank you, committee member Hanson. I think a part of this as well, as was mentioned previously, is part of our responsibility and our job is rebuilding trust, and making sure that we are and we can communicate and demonstrate in a concrete way that we're making progress, we're making improvements, we're trying to break down barriers, and that's a big piece of this work, is rebuilding some of the trust that's lost in terms of doing business with a large public entity like the council. So thank you for your comments.
I appreciate you.
Are there others who would like to speak on the presentation? All right, we have a hand. Sorry, I'm not seeing. Anita, did you want to
Yeah.
speak?
Yeah, just one quick thing. Thank you, Ashanti, for listening to us and hearing us the last time we got this information from you. And though there are some areas that can be raised, I was happy to see this thorough report. It's so much different than the last time we had a report, and it's probably been maybe 2 years, a year and a half. And so I appreciate the work that's gone into it. Thank you.
Thank you. And just as information, I didn't mention this, but if you wanted to see, I think all of the agencies that participated, their individual reports are available on the Department of Administration's website. That is who led this disparity study on behalf of the state. So if you were interested in seeing one of the other cities, counties, entities that participated, you can find those reports on Department of Admin's website.
Thanks.
And, I just want to echo Anita's statements about the report and the detail. And, we've come a long way. And so to see it come full circle and read it is coherent, it's not disjointed, it's not this department, that department, or this group, that group. I mean, it really makes sense. And, the shortcomings we will continue to work on as the Met Council will continue to do its piece to work on that, but I think the laser focus on disparity now, you can see it come through reporting. So kudos, I appreciate the hard work of Shanti and the crew.
Thank you.
All righty. Do we have anyone else? All right, seeing none, Ashanti, we would just thank you again for taking the time to present to us this evening, um, and for all the wonderful work that you're doing with the council.
Good.
We have now concluded all of our scheduled agenda items, but before we adjourn, we'd like to open the floor for brief announcements from committee members and staff, if there are any. Anita, go ahead.
I'm just full of information tonight, so excuse
I love
me. But I had a discussion on Facebook with some seniors that I know that are living around here in North Minneapolis, and we got into the subject of MTC and the dangers that they felt that they were having on the bus, the feelings of insecurity, and ironically, they'd like to see more police officers or uniforms. And I remember, oh gosh, is it 3, 4 years ago when the discussion was to have no uniforms present on any of the MTCs or the light rails, and now we're back to people, or at least the people that I've talked to, and I think there were probably about 7 in this conversation on Facebook that that were all saying, I would like to see somebody in a uniform to provide some security, or at least some training for the bus drivers of what to do when somebody is feeling threatened, or there's fights, or they feel for their safety. In addition to that safety, feeling of safety on the buses, particularly the MTC, but was also the price of fares. And because, like I said, a lot of the people that I were talking to were seniors, one of the things that they said was they'd like to see some um, rates, special rates for seniors, so that would encourage them to take a bus more often to the grocery store or wherever. So between the safety and the fares, the prices, that was just something I wanted to bring here. And if we wanted to have a bigger discussion about it later, if anybody felt this was important enough, or if they've heard anything else from people talking about the rates and the fares for seniors and the safety, it might be something that in the future uh, this group might want to have some information, or just have that discussion maybe. I'm just throwing it out there because that was a part of a conversation that I had with people.
Thank you so much, Anita. I know that our staff, Tori and Lila, love to hear the topics that committee members are interested in discussing and pursuing. So I'm sure that they will make a note of that. Thank you. Mitchell?
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm hearing that a lot too, and I think that's one of the hardest things, about the loss that we recently have of Sergeant Rodriguez, because I feel like that program is so important, right? To identify people that need housing, to hook them up and connect them with housing, and to make sure that that's still happening. Because if that falls, then now you've got, all of the things, basically happening. And I do feel you. I use public transportation myself, and depending upon, I guess I guess if you're like a seasoned, like rider or whatever, you kind of know how to avoid things. But like for people who are either vulnerable or there's just a lot of things that happen that do need to be addressed. And I've heard a lot of the same things from people as well, and I want to acknowledge that. And I do just want to use what you said as an opportunity to, again, like, what Sergeant Rodriguez was doing in programs like that, like as many of those as possible as we can use to find people that are struggling, to figure out exactly like what they're going through, I think is really amazing. And if that requires looking at, like a program specifically for seniors or for whatever we need to do, if that program worked, why can't others? And so I feel you on that. And I hear you. And I just wanted to point that out.
Thank you for sharing as well, Mitchell. Do we have others with announcements? I would personally share the Minnesota Association of Black Social Workers is having their conference, their annual conference on October 3rd, and there is tabling opportunities as well as conference attendee opportunities. I know that the council and some of our organizations that all of us are on try to find different ways to connect with the community, and this could be one. So it's my little announcement.
Thank you so much for that, Carmen.
Yeah. Are there any other announcements this evening or updates from council members from other committees that they sit on? All right. Seeing none, I will entertain. Yes, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. If there is one.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
All right. The adjourners have it. And with that, we will conclude our meeting at 6:50 p.m. Thank you all for your time. You guys have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.